Hello, good people, and welcome to Pan Dead Center. Today, we're going to talk about applying region effects in your DAW, but for a purpose that may be a little bit different than what you've done before.
Handstand Center.
Usually, when we use region effects, it's because we have singers, multiple singers, and they're not always beginning at exactly the same moment. One singer may start a little bit early, another one may come in a little bit late. And we use effects like vocal line or melodyne to get them to line up perfectly in such a way that it sounds very natural and it doesn't sound processed at all. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to use region effects for something else. I have three horn lines here, one trumpet, one tenor sax, one trombone. Each of them are playing just two notes, so it's a very, very short piece. Nonetheless, they don't sound like they're happening at the same time. Now, I've entered it so that when the first note begins on the trumpet, it begins at exactly the same moment at the tenor and on the trombone. Nonetheless, the articulations are not quite lining up. So even though the notes are starting at the same time, the articulations for each one is a little bit different. Let me play you each instrument one by one, soloed, and then I'll put them together and you will understand what I'm talking about. Here's the trombone. Okay, so it's just two notes. You have two different articulations. One is the swell. Now I've got everything in grand staff, piano and bass, so that the key switches are out of the way. But we begin on the half beat of one with a swell, and then the next note is a fall. I'll play that again. Okay, now listen to the tenor. Now you could hear the swell ends much earlier, but you can see that the key is being held down. That's just how the articulation goes. The articulation does not last for as long as they hold the note. It lasts however long they recorded it. One more time. You will also notice that the falls do not last the same length. And here is the trumpet line. So you hear that fall is very short in that one. Now you can hear a gap between the first and second note. You hear a similar gap in the tenor. But you do not hear one in the trombone. Well, yeah, that's a very slight one. There is a very slight one, but it's obviously these swells are different lengths, as are the falls. And if you look at the waveforms, you can see they are quite a bit different. Now, the two notes start at the same moment, but the first one ends sooner, even though I held the key down, and you can see the trumpet has a very short fall, whereas the sax and the tenor are much more lined up. Now, when we play them all together, as you can imagine, it sounds not so good, especially the end of the first note where they're all dropping out at a different point. It does not sound like a professional ensemble. The second note is a fall. We don't expect the falls to stop at the same point. We're kind of okay with that one, although we will align those as well. But listen especially to the end of the first note where they're all stopping at different points. Did you hear it? That sounds pretty bad. And this is just two lines. Imagine if we had a whole long piece and it just kept doing this. It would sound really, really horrible. One more time. That just sounds really bad. But we can fix it. We have the technology. So all we need to do is apply vocal line, and that makes everything sound so much better. I'm going to align everything to the trombone. I'm going to do this off camera. There are plenty of videos on other channels that show you how to do this with Vocaline. This is not intended to be a Vocaline tutorial. What I'm showing here is something that will work for any similar plugin. Okay, Vocaline is now applied, and it sounds like this. Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. The swells now last the same amount of time. The falls do as well. The falls, I think, are not as important, but I applied it to everything just for to illustrate it better. Let's listen to these one by one. Let's solo the trombone, which actually should not have changed. Now the tenor. And now the trombone. I mean trumpet. I mean, individually they sound good, and together they sound good. And that's another way to use region effects, other than just getting the notes, the starting and the end points of the notes to line up. Sometimes the articulations need a little help, and this, I think, is a very good way to make horns and to make a lot of other things sound a lot more natural by putting them together into the same space. Hope this helps, and I will see you in another video.